has the day off, which means you're getting something very rare on today's show.
Ah, yes, a full head of hair, folks, full head of hair.
Last time that Tony and I both could say that simultaneously.
What year?
Early 80s.
Hold on. Think about the money you spent on haircuts.
I got to the 90s, but he wasn't with me.
Mike, this is actually an expensive hat that I'm wearing. Very expensive.
I'm not buying it. Real hair. Welcome to PTI. With Tony lollygagging, I'm joined by a man who never seems to stop working. Our friend from The Athletic, Frank Isola.
They're cheering for the hair. They're cheering for the hair.
Wrinkle in that introduction, too. Frank, go ahead and get us started.
All right, we got a little postseason baseball. For the first time since 2004, we'll get baseball's best rivalry in a playoff series.
You sure?
Yes. Repeat after me, Michael. Boston versus New York, which means only one thing. The evil empire against the New York Yankees. As you know, the gritty underdog Bronx Bombers. They won 100 games, while the Red Sox won a Major League best 108 games this season. So if the Sox lose this series, do they see their season as a failure?
You know, Frank, they probably will, and God knows all of New England or the vast majority of Sox Nation will see it as a failure because they've won 3 times relatively recently. In the last 14 years, 3 World Series championships. So, yes, you get greedy. Any fan base would. I don't see it that way. I think baseball, to me, is the lone sport that's a holdover. I know they've gone to multiple playoff rounds now, and it's no longer just American League champ versus National League champ. They're playoffs. But when you go through the grind of a 162-game season and you win 108, which puts you as one of the best dozen
and look where it gets them, who they got to play.
Yes, which I think is bad. Baseball needs to revisit the seeding situation, but I would not consider it a failure.
I think there are certain teams, and the Red Sox are in this category, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs would be there, and the Houston Astros. I think for these teams, when you're this good, you're this talented, your payroll is what it is, I think getting to a World Series, if you don't get there, then your season's going to be considered disappointment. I know people are saying, well, the Dodgers have to win at some point. You get to a World Series, you've had a great year, but the Red Sox are different. Here's a team that dominated. They dominated the American League. They had the 108 wins. What would concern me about the Red Sox, everyone is going to look at that starting staff. When you look at Chris Sale is going to start
tonight.
Game 1. Yeah. Then you have Price. Then you have Porcello. You combine, they are 0 for 11 and a 6.13 ERA lifetime in the postseason.
Yeah.
So they have 3 starting pitchers. All talented, all make a lot of money. They haven't done anything.
Setting it up for them to have postseason disappointment, if not failure, Frank, from what you're saying. I mean, I look at the top of that staff, and I've been saying all along, I got to see it from Chris Sale. It's not to disparage him. He's earned all the regular season praise he gets. But every sport is different when we get to the postseason, and baseball is no different in that way. But, man, failure is tough when you win 108. And, again, baseball has done its best teams, its big market teams, certainly, in this season, no favors by saying, look, is the Cubs season a failure? They only got a 1-game playoff. They were out. They won 94 games with a lot of injuries. I'm not going to say it's a failure. And the Red Sox are 14 games better than that.
But here's funny. Who do you have more confidence in tonight? J.A. Happ, who was 7-0 in 11 starts since being acquired from Toronto, or Chris Sale, who last season did not pitch well against the Astros. And he spent 2 stints on the disabled list.
But that could all turn. That could all turn in 4.
It needs to turn for those 3 guys on the Red Sox.
Good enough for the Dodgers that they took Game 1 6-0 from the Braves last night. But it seems like an even bigger advantage now because Clayton Kershaw is going to take the mound for Game 2 in this best-of-5 series. Frank, this is a commanding 1-0 series lead for the Dodgers, is it not?
I think it is. First of all, the inexperience of the Braves is a huge factor, and I think the fact that you get Clayton Kershaw now in Game 2, and he's also set up to pitch a Game 5. We were just talking about the Yankees, and it kind of reminds me of the way that they would set up their rotation. They liked having Andy Pettitte pitch in Game 2 because they felt, if we lose Game 1, we believe in Andy Pettitte. Then, of course, if you take Game 1, you have the guy that you believe is your best postseason pitcher. Now, I know everybody talks about Kershaw, the struggles that he's had in the past, but last season he had the 7 scoreless innings against the Cubs in a playoff game. He struck out 11 in Game 1 of the World Series, so he kind of changed that narrative a little bit last year.
Days of rest, and they go either 4 or 5. On 4 days rest, he's got a 3.21 ERA, which is fine usually. 2.56. With an extra day of rest, and he's got the extra day of rest. So I think the Dodgers were foolish in the past when they would run Kershaw out there on 3 days rest, and it would seldom work. And people would say, what's wrong with Kershaw? Nothing.
No.
Nothing that a normal amount of rest wouldn't wouldn't help. And in this day of every single batter trying to hit home runs when they walk up there, I think this is good for the Dodgers. And, yeah, I think it's a commanding
You know what's
lead.
funny, too, about Clayton Kershaw? He wasn't crazy about the fact that he wasn't starting game one. How much of that do you think is the idea that, well, I'm the ace of the staff, I'm supposed to feel this way?
All of it.
Where logically, there was nothing wrong. First of all, Ryu, who started yesterday, had an unbelievable run. He's gone
Frank,
21 scoreless innings at home without giving up a run, so why not pitch him in game one?
Every locker room, no matter the sport, guys think that they are the – we talk about alpha males all the time, and in some sports they get more credit than others. Basketball, I mean, you couldn't imagine sort of LeBron James or Kobe Bryant going back, Michael Jordan and Magic, taking a sort of subservient position. Could you and taking it? No, that would never happen. And so I understand Kershaw's position, but the job is of that staff to calm him down and say, listen, this is the best thing for a team that hasn't won a World Series in how many decades?
30 years. And if I'm the Atlanta Braves, I'm thinking, so hang on a second. We're down 1-0 in the series, and now we have to face Clayton Kershaw at Dodger Stadium.
Should have worked out pretty well.
Not good. All right, Tom Brady reached a milestone in last night's win over the Colts by throwing career touchdown pass number 500. And from the look of things, he may be throwing a few more this season with Julian Edelman back from suspension. Brady has an abundance of talented skill players to work with. Of course, we're including Gronk and Josh Gordon. The Patriots are now 3-2. And during Thursday's telecast, Joe Buck said they are still the safest bet in football. Michael, do you agree with that?
You know what? There are a couple of teams coming up on the outside, and Kansas City is obviously one of them.
Of course.
But we've got
Jacksonville.
We got such a long way to go in this season that if you want to take the big view of this now, yes, the Patriots are the safest bet. And part of it to me is that look at what Brady was throwing to. You alluded to this already. Gronk and Edelman, Dorsett, James White, a nice running back coming out of the backfield.
Sony Michel.
Flexibility. Sony Michel, Hogan, who did drop that one that turned into an interception, and Josh Gordon, who went and got one on a throw that might not have been all that great. So you give Tom Brady all of those weapons, and it gives your defense room to breathe. They don't have to be perfect, and Brady can spread it around like that. It seems like that's when the Patriots have been at their best historically.
In an offensive league, think about what they have. It's amazing. Brady had not thrown a pass to both Edelman and Gronk in the same game since November of 2016. Yesterday, the two of them combined for 13 receptions. How much better is that offense going to be? Look how much better White was last night, coming out of the backfield, catching 10 passes, and Michel running the ball for 98 yards. And this is what I always say about the Patriots. They struggle in September, and everyone so badly wants to write them off because nobody likes Belichick, and everyone's jealous that they win all the time, and everyone turns out being wrong.
Every year we sit here on this show and go through a 2-1 Patriots team or even a narrow win in a 3-0. Are the Patriots done yet? It's like, stop. And Tony did this last year, the gloom and doom with the Patriots. There's no gloom and doom. Again, yes, we want to see the Jaguars and the Patriots at some point whenever we can see that, and we want to see Kansas City. There's also a visit in a game that looked like nothing when the schedule came out. Maybe it's something, and that's the Patriots going to Chicago to play that Bears defense on October 21. Maybe. I'm not sold on it yet. But so that you have these little tests. Are they real obstructionists or are they just speed bumps?
Well, remember this, too. You get Chiefs-Jaguars this weekend. Then next weekend, Kansas City, New England, which will be a great test for both of those teams. The thing about New England and why you should never write them off and now why they look as dominant as ever, Miami comes in there undefeated. They absolutely smoked them. And here's what New England has done for the last 20 years. They have dominated a bad division. The AFC East with the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, not very good, and they've taken advantage of it.
So further notice.
That's right.
Joe Buck sounded great on that prediction. Let's stay in New England, where Kyrie Irving made a little news yesterday when he had the mic and spoke to Celtics season ticket holders. Let's listen.
Shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
Boom! Frank, is this preseason declaration binding? I mean, do you, as a guy who hangs around the Knicks for a living, believe Kyrie is staying put in that green jersey for the next 5 years?
Knicks fans did not like hearing this. It's one thing to just say it to a reporter. He's saying that at an event, open practice, season ticket holders. You're really painting yourself. And by the way, give my boy, and you know him, my radio partner, Brian Scalabrine. He's the one that said it to Kyrie. You want to have your number hang up there one day, and that's when he responded with, I intend to resign. We know, number one, he can get the most money in Boston. They have a ton of talent. They could still end up, believe it or not, if things break right for them, the 2nd and the 9th overall pick of this year's draft. Yeah. And we know that what's hanging out there for them, Anthony Davis. In Boston, they believe that's been the whale that's been out there for a couple of years.
This is the era in which we've gotten so greedy in sports. I look at the Boston Celtics right now as a team that is going to win the Eastern Conference. Yep. And then, can they take Golden State? Maybe not. Maybe so. I'm not counting the Celtics out of this. They got the best team. They don't need to make trades. They don't need to make deals. They don't need to look forward to what they could have in the future other than keeping the team they have intact. And Kyrie Irving would be a great part of that.
By the way, one little subtle thing that happened during this last night. Paul Pierce was there. He had a great quote to ESPN. He said, winning a championship in Boston is different than winning one in Cleveland. He will be immortalized if he wins in Boston. It's such a great little subtle, arrogant dig because you know who he's really talking. Thank you. Because he's saying, all right, LeBron, I only won one title. It's in Boston. You won yours in Cleveland. But I would say this, too, in Kyrie's defense.
I'd say it's different. I'd say it's bigger in Cleveland. A lot of guys have won titles in Boston on multiple teams.
I agree with you.
There's so much bling in New England, you don't even necessarily know who the greatest of the greats are. LeBron James stands alone in Cleveland. So I love when Paul does that because that's what rivals should do. But I would come back at him in that way.
If you're winning championship in Boston, you're never going to match Bill Russell. So getting one in Cleveland, and guess what's going to happen 30, 40 years from now? Everyone's going to remember Kyrie Irving. Oh, wait, you're the guy that hit the biggest shot in the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise.
He's already got one.
Right?
What happened to Kyrie going to the Knicks? This was a theme all of July and August. He and Jimmy Butler were going to team up and go to the Knicks and they were going to be in force by the time Porzingis made it back 3 years from now. What happened?
The Knicks are practicing patience. The Knicks are going to get Kevin Durant, so forget about Kyrie. Here's the thing, too, about Kyrie that nobody talks about.
What?
4 procedures on that knee. Now, they're going to say 1 or 2 of them were minor. I don't care.
Look.
He's had procedures. He's 27.
As great as
he's got a knee
Westbrook
thing.
And Kyrie are.
Right.
Derrick Rose, we've already seen this. Now, he had one sort of catastrophic one, which sort of just physically reduced him. But you hate hearing that about those two players. Knees matter, particularly the point guards. These guys have the ball all the time.
And with LeBron gone, now you could dominate the East. That's why Kawhi Leonard should be happy that he's in Toronto. Get a chance.
We're taking a break. We're coming up. Well, Jalen Ramsey backed up his talk against Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs in that game we talked about on Sunday.
And could Kyler Murray in Oklahoma actually go down to Texas tomorrow? Texas, 4-game winning streak.
Only Alabama's that great. Nobody else is that great. Football. Nobody else is that great.
Maybe Ohio State.
Not great.
With grand money.